Oh yes. Hello. I'm Megatron, and you're listening to Altered Geek Unlimited. Excellent. Yes.
You're tuned in to Steve on Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve the producer. Yeah, that's my new title at work. So joining me in this episode is TFG1 Mike.
Yes, and I'm not feeling very effing great right now.
Yeah, computer problems. Especially when Windows is like that, to put it bluntly, it's like that relative that comes over, eats all your food, and leaves all of their trash all over the place. Yeah, that's Windows. And so it installs all its stuff, and then it's like, you clean up the boxes and the papers and all the wrappers and all the instruction manuals, and we're going to hit the road. We'll come back on the next time. And that's basically what Windows has done to Mike, is leave all of its baggage behind and not clean up after itself.
First of all, I tried uninstalling certain programs that it automatically thought I needed for installation. Like anything to do with Xbone. I'm sorry. I'm not an Xbox player. I've never been an Xbox player. I never will be an Xbox player. And it has nothing to do with the games or the whatever from Microsoft or anything like that. It has to do with the fact that I was born with cerebral palsy. It affects the right side of my body. I can only play video games one-handed, and every single one of the Xbox controllers is way damn big for me to use. So, why? And second of all, why in the would I need anything to do with Xbox on my PC? That makes no sense whatsoever to me. So I uninstalled all that. I did everything else. And then the thing popped up and said, oh, you should delete the previous version of Windows. Well, back in my day, you know, when you installed a new update or a new preview or whatever you want to call it, it overwrote. It overwrote the other one. It overwrote the old one, and it's like it used to ask you like a million times, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this?" And when you finally said yes, you got the new version, you got the new this, the new that, and you didn't have the old version anymore because it overwrote itself. Well, apparently they don't do that anymore.
Yep, pretty much.
And on top of that, some things have with this new update. I don't know if it was something I did, but I very rarely use like night mode on my computer. Like I'll use it on like my phone, on like Twitter and stuff and whatever, and I'll use Facebook Messenger dark or whatever, you know, dark mode, whatever. On my actual PC screen, I don't need that because I just don't. I'm fine with the traditional, not necessarily super bright, but you know, just the right, like the difference between night mode and regular mode on mine is that it turns like the white part of the Skype window, it turns it like tan or sepia or whatever the hell it turns it to. So yeah, computer problems, yay.
Yeah, so I can definitely understand that.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely a pain when things don't work right.
No.
So yeah, I've spent, I don't know, the greater part of the last week kind of paying attention to things going on the interwebs. One of my assignments recently was to listen to a plethora of other podcasts. And when I say a plethora, I mean 25. Just kind of to see like how things are going on other competitor podcasts per se. And it was interesting. There were a number of shows that were very well produced, very well thought together type of programs, very clean. And then there were other ones where people basically ripped YouTube video music and played disc jockey with it, and created a podcast of all just music. And I mean, granted, I think that they got permission, but still, it was I could listen to them all on YouTube. And then there were a number of other programs that either had really bad audio quality or they were super boring. And they made it onto this top 25 kids podcast list. And then the funny thing is like 2 or 3 of them were totally defunct. They haven't had episodes in like a year or two. And I'm like, how are these on a July edition of this list? It didn't make sense to me. And but there were a number of shows on there that were very well produced and had actually won various awards, where there was Peabody Awards or Webby Awards or iHeartRadio, which that's anybody
it's
that knows
not
me.
iHeart, it's I hate.
To preface it, my gripe with iHeart has nothing to do with the fact that they have podcasts or that they have a radio thing going on. It has to do with the fact that they say that they're the first of everything. First to have an award show for podcasters, when podcastawards.com was going on 14 years. And then, there's been other ones too, but first to have a podcast that's broadcast on radio. Well, no, another state in like another area in like Pennsylvania or one of those states did it first. It was just they've been playing that I'm first game to try and get buzz and publicity, and it just doesn't work.
Well, let me tell you something.
But it says they launched its first ever kid-hosted podcast, which it says it's, not the.
Yeah.
So I was very, very happy to see this pop up as it's instead of the, but still, like, anytime I see iHeartRadio and like podcasting news, I cringe.
Yeah, their app, because I have their app on my phone, because I don't listen to it for the podcasts. I listen to it for radio stations, whether that's local here to Chicago or, other radio stations. But they have Classic American Top 40 with Casey Kasem. And I listen to those every now and then, especially if, an episode from the 80s pops up or something. Their app opens up and it says iHeartRadio, now #1 for podcasting is what it says.
Which is, again, a lie, because Spotify and Apple Podcasts are actually like neck and neck for #1. iHeartRadio doesn't even compute on that list.
They don't.
They may have the largest streaming like on the radio platform.
Yeah.
But they don't have the largest podcaster platform. That goes to, of course, Apple Podcasts and then Spotify, which has eaten up the market on purpose to try and dominate Apple. And that's why, to me, it's like it's hilarious whenever I see something for iHeartRadio pop up, because I'm like, it's like cringeworthy, because they're not the first in anything. But they always claim it, and garbage in, garbage out. I guess I don't know. It's just I don't know. I can't fathom why they have fun with that. Like, I'm #1. Look at me, I'm important. I don't see a lot of other platforms do it. Like, Google Podcasts is atrocious, and yet, they still hit the charts at some point and remarkably don't toot their own horn at all. Now, I will say, that, as far as the podcasts are concerned, it's kind of neck and neck. Like, what's funny about our shows are they either are Apple Core Media, which is basically like iPhones or iPads or iPods or whatever, and they kind of break it down sequentially based on that. But majority of our shows either come from the Apple Core Media downloads, or Windows Media Player is number 2. And then it's usually like iTunes is like in the top 5, and then in Spotify is usually up there pretty close. What's funny is this particular week, iHeartRadio is actually number 3, but it still trails behind. Like, it's not number 1. Like,
Yeah,
so
it's not number 1.
it's just, I don't know. It just makes me laugh when I see those things, because honestly, Windows Media Player is predominantly our number 1.
Yep.
Which is funny.
Week, I believe I was on last week. I don't remember it at this point. I had mentioned Music Talks podcast and Part-Time Nerds, Full-Time Dads. Music Talks is done by Terry Smith, who's a cool-ass Brit guy his show is basically you talk about one song per every decade that you've been alive kind of thing. Part-Time Nerds, Full-Time Dads is Mike Laidman, formerly of Twig, along with his buddy Chris Blonsky, basically talking nerdy dad stuff and that kind of thing. I listen to both of those shows through Spotify now instead of downloading them through Apple Podcast, iTunes, whatever. I'm always going to call it iTunes because thankfully Windows platform is still iTunes. It's not these three separate apps crap. Well, for now, yeah. But like I've been using Spotify for those 2 shows. I even added the pull bag to check the pull bag out. I added ATTF to make sure things are going right with that, and I'll add the rest of the GCRN shows at some point. My one complaint with Spotify for podcasts is sometimes, and I'm crazy. I think I said this last week. I listened to 44 episodes. The first entire 44 episodes of Mike and Chris's show within 5 days. Now, several times while listening on Spotify, when I would close the app or on my phone, or I would pause the show, it sometimes would kick me back to the beginning. And I don't really like that. So that's the only negative I have on Spotify for podcasts. But the rest of it, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I've used it when I was doing the research for work. As far as listening to all the podcasts, I predominantly used, if they didn't have a web player on their website, which about half of them didn't, which was surprising. I used their Apple Podcast link, which would allow you to pull up their profile page in a browser, and you could play it directly from there. Or I would pull up their Spotify link, which honestly was easier. And I perused them that way. And then, of course, taking notes and everything. Although I will say I did get some awesome ideas from it, which I'll have to share with you off air. But yeah, it was really interesting going through and doing that. Getting a plethora of different perspectives and thought processes behind different podcasts. I heard, like, there were a number of different things that, like, there was another podcast I listened to that somebody was interviewed on from work, and they were mentioning something about distribution platforms with podcasting, and how, there should be a Netflix of podcasting, which will never happen, because that would require everybody would have to pool their stuff into the same pot and expect to get paid from it, and nobody's going to get equal pay on that anyway. And plus, you're talking, if everybody has a subscription model, then it's basically like paying for cable again, because you're getting all these different stations, and it's it's just like the streaming war going on right now with video. It's never going to happen. Podcasts were free; they'll remain that way. And honestly, like, yes, there are some exceptions, but predominantly people monetize it through dynamic ad insertion or live reads. That's partially why, like, I tore out the advertising on the GCRN website. Like, it's just not. I'm not going to play that game.
It's not getting us anything. If it's not going to do anything for us, like, then why are we going to have it on the website clogging it up? And the thing with the dynamic ads or the live reads, I have always felt that live reads are completely fake. I'm not saying that they're faked. I believe that they sound fake. Because, okay, say we're having a nice little conversation here about how live reads are faked, and then all of a sudden I say, hey folks, you want to hear more from Altered Geek? Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Spreaker. Like, that just doesn't, and honestly, I blame Kevin Smith. I friggin' blame Kevin Smith. Because his shows, when I was listening to them 5, 10, whatever years ago, that dude would talk. I know that dude can talk a lot, but that dude would talk ads, like 7 ads in the first 5 to 10 minutes of his show. Like, I understand he has a lot to pimp out, but you don't have to pimp everything out every single episode. Like, that was just a little too weird for me. I don't mind recording one and inserting it somewhere, or working it into a natural, like my natural speech pattern of a closing of a show. Like, I you know this, and most everyone that may or may not listen to this show and other shows that I've done know this. I've always had a general outro for every single show I've done, and I modify that. Like, for review shows, I insert what cartoon episodes or whatever is going to come next on the next episode. But it generally has, here's the ways you can get in touch with us. Go to geekcastradio.com, leave us reviews, blah, 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 blah. Well, now I'm going to work that, that reminder of where people can find us. Right now I have a pre-recorded ad that I use at the beginning of the pull bag, but I'm going to work that into the outro from now on. I just have to remember to actually do the outro, because the pull bag kind of is willy-nilly with the outro sometimes, because we have a really cool outro done by you. So all the information is in the pre-recorded outro.
Hey, but it works. Like,
I don't know.
It's like the old Geekcast Radio ones that we used to do. Where I was like, and I would modulate my voice, and
you're listening to Geekcast Radio on the Geekcast Radio Network.
And then just, which honestly was a lot of fun. And granted, I had to do it in Audacity just to get the effect I was looking for at the time, because Sound Booth didn't have it. Now I can do it in Audition. But still, it's just, I don't know, it's really funny to sit there and do that. I might try that again, soon, but but yeah, I mean, it's a little different, having it pre-recorded for certain aspects like that. But I definitely think that it resonates better having it come from the host, especially if it's something that you can tell that they're not faking, like they're passionate about whatever they're promoting. It's not just a general ad, is I guess what I'm saying. Because you can smell it a mile away.
Into the closing. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's a different monster, I would just say, altogether. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of exploring different options as far as that's concerned. What I will say is, even on the website, it was brought to my attention there was way too much crap on the episode, or the podcast page. Like the current design of trying to find things on that page. Like, there was the giant banner, and then there was the so I'm going through them, and I'm trying to, and I'm having problems doing it, but I'm trying to create a drop down under each podcast. Granted, I have the code. I know it works. It just won't work on WordPress. So it's finding another maneuver and trying to figure out how to word it to get a plugin that does what I'm trying to do, or that specific add-in. But I'm trying to do it so that people can scroll down and select the download source that they're looking for, instead of having to, have a plethora of just links all over the place with different avenues. It's just, I don't know. A lot of sites do that or do something similar. So that's, I guess, kind of where I'm heading with it on the site.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so something cool that happened this week.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to do this since the internet exploded when it happened?
Oh my God. He forever will be the Batman. Finally, Kevin Conroy gets to play an older version of Bruce Wayne in live action. Crisis on Infinite Earths will feature Kevin Conroy as Old Man Bruce Wayne. I cannot wait for this. And just as a little side note, there's supposed rumors going around that Rosenbaum is coming back as Lex at some point. It's not confirmed by anybody. I've seen images, like screen caps of Rosenbaum tweeting Cryer, like, do you know anything about this? I know about as much as you do, which is nothing kind of thing. So I don't think, like, until, you know, we have an actual, like, Comic Book Resources was the first place I saw the Kevin Conroy news, besides Kevin Conroy himself tweeting it out and sharing it on Facebook. But that is going to be epic. Now, I know everyone under the sun on the internet has been like, oh, but Michael Keaton would make great Old Man Bruce for a Batman Beyond movie. He absolutely would. But we're getting Old Man Bruce, Kevin Conroy, in the CW DC universe.
And I think that what they're doing with this Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think, is their way of not only sending off Arrow, which has set this whole thing in motion, but in honoring every iteration of DC television, and even some of the films, all the way back to the 60s.
Yep.
Because even Burt Ward's going to be in it on an undisclosed role.
Yep.
I'm betting Commissioner Gordon, but
okay, sure.
I mean that's I mean, honestly, that would be where I could see him playing, or he could be playing an old, you know, like a Dark Knight Returns version of Robin. Like, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So, I mean, it's just, yeah. But I don't know, I'm kind of excited for it, and I love the fact that they're getting Conroy, and there's, like, you know, Mark Hamill's already been in it, in the Arrowverse as the Trickster, although it would have been nice to see the other iteration, maybe against this version, but it'll be kind of cool to see him play Old Man Bruce, and what would be really cool is because it's supposed to be a future version of him if they got Terry McGinnis.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about setting in motion 2 new CW shows.
Yep. Because Arrow's going to be going away. They will only have Supergirl, Flash, Legends, and Batwoman. However, Chris Williams, a.k.a. Black Lightning, is supposed to be appearing in Crisis, so I suppose this is where they're going to say, oh, Black Lightning's been a part of the CW Berlanti-verse the whole time. I don't have a problem with that. I have yet to watch any of Black Lightning. I want to. It's just I'm so busy and whatever else. You mentioned Mark Hamill. My first thought was, oh boy. So, you know how I am. Well, you do.
Yes.
When I find certain things that happen during podcast recordings that I can exploit.
Oh, of course.
Well, in a couple of weeks on the Pull Bag, episode 366, we are going to be reviewing the 2015 Darth Vader Volumes 1 and 2 from Marvel, which were written by Kieran Gillian with art by Salvador LaRocca. I have Ryan, the Uneven Flow Merkley, doing this with me. So we go to record. I've read both volumes. He said he's read both volumes. We get on the recording. Mike, you kind of might want to stop this. I'm like, okay, why? What's going on? Of course, I hadn't stopped the recording. Are you kidding me?
You never stop the recording.
No, of course not. Exactly. I have so many hours of blackmail for everybody. if I ever need money, you people are getting blackmailed really hard.
That's what
but
she
the
said.
point is the point is that he's like, I read the Charles Soule 2017. He read the wrong comic, essentially. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess we can do this another night. He's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's no big deal. It's not that big of a deal. And I told him, I said, we'll just use it as a false start. So when I edited episode 366, I told him, I said, I'll put a record scratch in or something afterwards and we'll continue on. I put the record scratch that I use for everything. I then put... technical difficulties. Let's move on, shall we? Right after that, I put something from Darth Vader himself. It was either impressive, most impressive, or something. So basically, Joker Luke and his dad are talking to each other in an episode of my podcast.
Because that's just how you work.
Well, yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I'm like, ooh, this would be kind of cool. Because again, it's a review episode of Darth Vader comics that feature that character, and I'm like, well, I have to have Darth Vader stuff in here somewhere, whether it's a quote, whether it's this, whether it's that. And then the flub happened, and I'm like, oh, great. Well, the only technical difficulties thing I have is the Joker from, I think, Wild Cards. JLU Wild Cards is when that happened. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll use that too. And then I completely remembered it at the time that I'm like, oh, right, that's Luke Skywalker. Oh, that's going to be so ironic. Not like, flying your Chardonnay or rain on your wedding day ironic, but actually cool ironic.
Wah, wah. 90s jokes. But yeah, so I mean that was kind of like the highlight of the internet this weekend, just from seeing that. Yeah, of course they've got like Star Trek Lower Decks, which there's news on that, which I'm kind of indifferent, don't really care. Something I did see that it's some actually pretty cool gear. I don't know if you've heard of it, but Elgato Gaming, they have this thing called a Stream Deck. I don't know if you've heard of it, but anyways, they specialize in like digital streamers, and they have like these multiple push button devices. And in some of them, you can control them with your phone too, but you can basically control your stream by pushing buttons on this little desk mounted device instead of having to, like if you're like people that are streaming games or they're in the middle of something or a conversation or whatever. They don't have to click anything on their screen for it. They can switch between different visuals or different aspects just by using it. It's kind of a neat feature, honestly, and I was thinking of ways to apply that to podcasting if I had one. Of course I don't, but it still would be a kind of a neat concept to try. But yeah, I thought that one, it's expensive, so I that's one reason I don't have one. Because they have like a 6-button one, they have like a 12 and then like a 24 or something. But it allows you to add different things on different screens and control the chat conversations or whatever. Either way, it works really cool. As far as I've seen, I am excited though because I'm going to have a new computer in the next week.
Sweet.
Yes, it's going to be a Intel Core i5 6-core processor, 32 gig of RAM, a 750 watt power supply because I have a 550 right now, and
cool.
Unfortunately, does not support all of my USB items. Especially if I plug them into the front of the tower, it will blip out one of them. and it's not.
Oh, wow.
And it's not USB 3.0. It's 2.0. So it's like
Ooh, it's ancient.
yeah. Well, my computer's a 2012. I want to say 2012, 2013. I bought it right around the time I went back to college. Man, that's a long time ago. But anyways, I mean, it still works good, but majority of the hardware I'll be able to cobble together for the new tower, but I'm buying a new case too, so it'll hold, it's got like little clips that you can clip all your hard drives and other things in there rather easily. So I'll be able to use my video card again, my hard drives, all that, my DVD burner. It's going to have Wi-Fi built into the back of it, so in case there's an instance where I'm not close enough to a corded area anyway, I can use it. And then it's got 10 USB ports in the back. I think four
cool.
of them are 2.0. I think 4 of them are 3.0. One's 3.1, and one's a USB-C, so I can plug my phone in the back. So it's gonna be a monster when I get it. So I'm super pumped. It's gonna be a beast, man. Beast.
Very true. Very cool.
So yeah, those are some of the big things going on right now.
Yep. We're still trying to sell our house and
Me too.
all of that. So there's
Mine should be finalized this week.
I know I'm a lazy good for nothing, but it's one of those things where I talked to my real estate agent this morning, and she's like, "Yeah, most of the time people kind of procrastinate on, when the cooler weather comes around, they're like, oh, I need to buy a house." Now, I understand because I am the last person that likes heat at all. Humid or dry or whatever. Heat is not a friend of mine. I can survive in the cold more than I can in the heat. But if you have a nice sunny summer day and you want to go see a potential house that you might buy, you should really do that. Like, don't wait until the weather gets cooler or until the middle of winter when we're having to shovel the porch off so you can get in the house to see it, kind of a thing. And it's super frustrating. My wife says it, and I trust my wife, and the real estate agents say it. We've had 9 showings in 90 days. That to me is not enough. Like, maybe 20 showings in 90 days would be cool, but I don't know. So that's still going on. As I already mentioned earlier, I'm, editing the pull bag like crazy. I'm still editing and publishing Masters of Grayskull, which is our 4th and final series in the Powers of Grayskull series for the He-Man stuff on GCRN. As of this recording, I edited about 7 podcasts for the pull bag within a day and a half.
Wow.
Well, got to get it done. So,
gotta post them all.
So there's that. Yeah, gotta post them all.
Oh,
Yep.
That was lame. Oh,
Hey,
man.
not that either one of us ever have any interest in a Pokemon podcast, but if anyone ever wants to do a Pokemon podcast on our network, it has to be called Gotta Post Them All.
Got a Pokeball.
Oh, God. I still can't believe people are playing Pokemon Go.
There was, funny enough, there was somebody I used to work with at the health food store that played Pokemon Go. I could never get into it.
I understand why, in general, most people, the general audience, would play it because it promotes exercise. I get that. But since Pokemon Go came out, in the 2 years that it was super popular, I had seen more negative news stories about playing video games, hanging off of cliffs and things like that, trying to find these imaginary creatures. And I'm like, there's exercise, and then there's stupidity. Which of the coin do you find yourself on, people? And most of the stories I saw were negative, stupid people trying to catch an imaginary character while nearly killing themselves.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, there were, like, she was talking about having to go to, different parking lots and different places to park, to get access to these. And I was just like, no. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about a game that much to sit there and go through all that, Especially when you'd have to slow down and go catch one along the side of the road or something. Like, it's just like, it's a hazard.
Yeah, like, I mean, again, I understand promoting healthy living. I understand promoting getting exercise. And I understand if they have these little events or meetups or whatever, like in the park or something, and everybody's walking around a park where it's not always safe because, you've got, mass shootings and this and that and the other thing and everything else, which are horrible, by the way. But at least you're not, leaning off the edge of a cliff in San Diego. That was the big story, the big negative story I saw about catching Pokemon, poke me in the eye, poke my eye out, kind of thing. So, changing gears just slightly, and I'm not going to dwell on this because it's a very sore subject right now, but I think we need to at least bring it up, and I'm going to bring it up in this light. Your kids are how old now?
4 and 6.
Okay. My buddy Jesse Raz, who is a morning show host in Louisville, Kentucky on 106.9 Play. He's done several podcasts with me on the Pull Bag and things like that. He did our hot car awareness thing for GCR. We've had, again, as of this recording, we've had 2 mass shootings this week in the United States, one in El Paso, Texas, and one in Dayton, Ohio. And Jesse's biggest thing was, my kid is only 3 years old. I know I'm going to eventually have to tell him about these types of things, but I don't want to, and how do you deal with that kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys gonna, because I'm like, is this 1999? Is this Columbine all over again? Because that's what those, the news of the shootings coming out, that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I'll broach with my kids, like, when they get a little bit bigger and can, understand it. But to be honest, like, right now, it just doesn't make sense to burden their minds with this.
Yeah.
Because it does suck. Like, it's not a fun thing for anybody to have to deal with, because it's just not, it's not right. Like, I get both sides of the argument. I do. As far as, like, owning a gun and everything else. It's not even the fact that people have them, because the idiots that are going around doing this heinous action are going to do it regardless if it's against the law or not. So all these people that are saying, "Oh, gun safety," all this, granted, they already have stringent things. The people that own them legally are not the ones that are doing this. It's
right. Yeah.
It's always these people that are going to do this regardless, or they obtain it in some other fashion, and so I mean, and I'm not for or against either side. Like, I get it, but at the same time, like, they need to make them less accessible to the people that, I mean, and I don't know how you would even go about that, because, like, there's cases where people are going to still come upon these things regardless of what happens. So I don't know. It's either way. It's a horrible thing that you have to worry about. You know, it's almost as bad as like all the trafficking stuff that happens too, the abductions and all these other things that you hear about. All of it's rotten.
So Jesse made this post yesterday when this happened, again, as of this recording. And he made it public, so I'm just going to read this. I had another parental first over the weekend. I had to find a way to have a conversation with my wife about the 2 mass shootings in a way that my 3-year-old wouldn't pick up on. That means trying to avoid words like dead, shoot, gun, injured, gunman, terrorist, because honestly I think 3 is too young to try and explain something quite honestly I don't understand myself. Sadly, the day will come when I will have to explain this to him and hear about all the safe shooter drills. You know, and he goes on to talk about more of how he's frustrated as a parent and things like that. It's just, you know, our good buddy Booth Ninja, Mike Powers, said on Twitter, you know, that this is one of the reasons that, you know, he doesn't want to have kids or like the world that we currently live in is not the world we grew up in. It has changed so much since we were kids. And I'm not discounting anything that happened when we were kids because I'm sure the same violence has been around forever. But, you know, it's just crazy. And I wish there was like when I shared these articles of these 2 shootings, I'm like, we need to stop killing each other.
It's only going to happen once people stop acting like fools. Like, and that's it's just everything. The world is in this weird state of flux where just everything is just totally screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's again, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Should never be an issue, to be honest, but it is.
Sadly, it is.
So, something fun that happened earlier this week. It's not really fun, but somebody was listening to an old archived version of one of our podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, hey, there's an episode missing. Which is a legitimate, complaint. Because, over the years we've lost a number of episodes. So what's funny about it is, I happen to have all of them. Like, all of the shows archived, with the exception of, there was one particular show that I did not at the time, and that was Team Bottomus. And, which I now have. So.
Right.
Which reminds me, I have to move it to my external drive. I don't want it on my main hard drive. But yeah, I mean, I gotta figure out where it's at now, but yeah, it's, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny to go back and revisit old programming.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I now have all of Team Bottomus. What year did that even come out?
Team Bottomus was
like 2012.
Somewhere around 2010, I thought.
Okay. But anyways, I archived all the old shows. So, like, I have TFG 1, which was 2009, ATTF version 1, which went through 2010, Headshot. That'll never see the light of day. I'm not... I will not release that show again. I know some people still have it, but...
Yeah.
I will never release that again. So anybody that has it, just consider yourself lucky. I'm saving these for posterity's sake, but I'm never going to put these online again. All 41 episodes of it.
We did 41 episodes of that thing.
Yeah, I rebooted it as 2.0, but it's still like it didn't matter. It was the same conversations.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
The Beast Unleashed 2010, War Stories, which was very short lived at one episode, even though I did like 14 on TF Wire. No, I did 15 on TF Wire, which I have those archived too, which I'm sure eventually Jesse will get to those on his new site.
Yep.
Secret Origins 2011, Tooncast
Yep.
Classic at 2011. I have nothing from the Beyond era, I don't think, on here. Which, well, I might. I don't know. I'm in the archive folder. Then there's the Transformation Animation. One episode of Tabletop, which eventually was stolen by I forget the name of the site, but Will Wheaton hosts it now.
Tabletop Enthusiast. He stole
it's
your
not.
name.
It's not the Enthusiast, but it's Tabletop or something. But yeah, they have it over there. It's just funny. The name's swiped.
So we can now sue Will Wheaton. I proclaim Will Wheaton is an enemy of the GCRN.
I don't think it works that way.
Yes, I am turning into Sheldon Cooper, ladies and gentlemen.
Wheaton! So
I know, right?
2012 we had Toycast, which never actually hit episode 100. Yes, it went over 100 episodes, but it never actually hit episode 100.
Yeah, I know.
2014, ATTF V2, Beyond the Night in 2014, From the Command Center in 2014, Legends of the Dark Knight 2014, Mass Mayhem 2014. Well, that started then. Which, yeah, I should move that out of the archive folder and put it in the current. But what was the episode? What was the episode that was even missing from Beyond the Night?
Oh, for Beyond the Night, it was episode 21. Because the post itself, there is no post. Like, it doesn't exist. Like, I could have sworn either you or I created it, because I was looking on the website and I'm like, okay, so the post must be here somewhere. It must be here. I'm looking, like, I have 2 file folders myself, because again, we went through name changes, we went through hosting changes, things like that. So it changes on iTunes when you go to download it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is back when I was downloading the stuff. And I look in one, nothing. I look in the other, nothing. I'm like, frig! Dang it! Where is this thing? And then I go look on the website, and I'm like, episode 20, episode 22. What? Where the hell is episode 21? Oh, damn it.
So I did find it.
And of course, Dion the music. No, yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
I just have to upload it now, which is the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if you want, just throw it in Drive, and I'll do it in the morning. I'm not in any rush to get it done because I have to do the post up.
well, yeah.
So-
well, it's. I meant I uploaded it to Spreaker,
Oh, okay.
so it's up there. It just has to be published and redated. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. You know how we used to embed the images in the files?
Yep.
Yeah, it's got the original Beyond the Night logo. It's the only one too. Like the rest of them have the rest of the podcast feed one. That one does not. I was like, I haven't seen that logo since the 200 by 200 days. It's crazy. There are now 50 episodes in that podcast. So
Technically, there's going to eventually be 51 because we never actually did episode 50 of the show.
but yeah, so that one's up now. Yeah, we did Telecast, which has never revived, despite attempts. Off the Cuff, Showtime Synergy, and then Team Bottomus, of course. So yeah, it's crazy going through the archives of just old content. And then going through the current folder, there's like Cinema Geeks and Future Imperfect, GCR. Yeah, and what's sad is a lot of these shows, like, one, I need to move them into the archive folder, some of these programs. And then two, like, some of them never got past episode 1.
Yep.
And it's usually because I was waiting on a co-host, and then it just never panned out.
Yeah, the Podcaster Meets World got, I think, 3 episodes. I mean, we'll eventually finish that at some point, but I don't know when. Life is too much in flux right now. My fluxives have been capacitated at this point. And
Capacitated?
Yes, that's right. You heard me right. I said capacitated. So...
Yeah,
you know.
So it's I don't know, it's just funny going back, looking at some of this stuff. Eventually, I think I'm going to go back and revisit some old episodes, like, just to see what was said, and then do, like, some kind of a commentary on them.
I've gone back to some old episodes at certain times, and I'm like, God, we sound so young. And then there's Ryan. Ryan, for the last X number of years, he just sounds the same. He doesn't age.
He just sounds like he's bored a lot of the time while he's listening to the podcast.
I love him. Like, without Ryan, the pullback wouldn't be where it is currently, because he's the one guy. Like, I've asked him to do Iron Man, the current Iron Man series. I've asked him to do some Spider-Man stuff. It's not just Transformers that we're doing, even though that's the crux of what we're doing currently. Like, we just did, we just finished recording the Star Wars thing. So, like, Ryan essentially is my go-to host at this point. So,
He's your go-to host. Your go-to host.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Go-to host.
He's a go-to host. Yeah, so it was kind of funny that I had that episode, so I wasn't 100% sure, but that just goes to show you that if the fans don't have it, I do.
There you go.
Did you see the thing about Disney Plus being offered as a Hulu add-on?
Really?
Yes.
When is this happening?
You're, like, all excited now. Yeah, it says they're getting ready to enter the streaming game in a big splashy way this November with the launch of Disney Plus. The service is meant to be a direct competitor to Netflix and will feature a ton of high-dollar original programming, such as The Mandalorian, a live-action Lady and the Tramp remake, and a slate of Marvel TV shows. It says that to further assert their dominance over the industry, it's been revealed that Hulu will be offering Disney Plus as an add-on, which means the service will be even more accessible to potential subscribers, but also means consumers have an important choice to make. So it was confirmed by Hulu's senior vice president of originals during their TCAs. It says that they already offer premium add-ons such as HBO and CBS All Access, so it's kind of funny that they're going to do this, because I think Disney actually owns a big chunk of Hulu now that they own Fox. And they already they own
Disney.
ABC.
No, Disney. Okay, so I forget what it is. It's Disney now has controlling interest of Hulu. I forget who owned Hulu originally.
I want to say Comcast has a big stake in it too, like for their NBC content. But yeah, it's. I know Disney Plus is going to be like $6.99 a month at launch, and again, there's no knowledge of if there's going to be a discount by bundling with Hulu. I would assume so, but it's Disney, and they also were the same ones that would gouge you on the same movie every couple of years for a different edition of it, just so that they could get an extra $20 out of you for the DVD or the VHS tape. Because it's like, oh, it's not the regular edition, it's special edition. Oh no, it's gold edition, silver edition, platinum edition,
diamond
collector's edition, super spectacular. So I mean, it's just, I don't know, they're just, it wouldn't surprise me. That's all I guess I'm trying to say there. But I did think that it was kind of interesting that they're going to actually go that route. And And of course, I saw somebody posted, seriously, someone needs to hire David Kaye to record GPS navigation as Megatron. And they posted the picture of Transmetal holding the duck going squeak, and then it goes,
In 200 meters, turn right. Yes.
yeah, and then there's a this particular person on Twitter says, even if I had nowhere in particular to go, I just take random drives here and there just to listen to Megatron's directions. And then David Kaye just has the hilarious laugh thing, and people are like, do it now.
Recalculating route because you missed your turn, dolt. How positively maximal of you. Yes.
Yeah, so
If it wasn't the fact that it's David Kaye, I'm like, dude, you should be making money at this.
I know. If it wasn't David Kaye, I would try.
I know. I mean, you know, but I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, the Hulu thing. So I currently pay $11.99 a month for no ads. Now here in Illinois, that gets taxed to, instead of just being straight $11.99 with no tax, it gets taxed up to, I pay $13.06 a month. We had done a Showtime add-on, which was, at the time it was $8.99. It is now $10.99 a month for Showtime. It is $14.99 a month for HBO. $9.99 a month for Cinemax. $8.99 a month for Stars. Then you can do like Enhanced Cloud DVR Unlimited Screens bundle for $14.98 a month. You know, they do have a bunch of other add-ons. Unlimited screens for $9.99 a month, entertainment add-on, Espanol add-on. So at some point, Disney Plus is going to show up in these premium add-on things, and hopefully it's not too much. When Disney Plus first got announced, I'm like, ooh, you know what I want to do? I just want to pay for the year. Because whatever I think it was like 60, 70, or $80 for the year, for the entire year, with all the content that I know that it's going to have at launch. I'm like, ooh, sure. I haven't done that yet. I'm probably not going to do that. If it's a Hulu add-on, I'll, you know, try it there first.
Yeah, and I could see people doing that. To be honest, like, it's not a bad deal if that's what you're looking for in programming. I honestly, like, for me, I honestly, like, a lot of the stuff that's on streaming is just, at this point, I watch nostalgia. That's to be honest, that's all I do. Like, I don't watch anything new.
So I mentioned this to my wife the other night because I tried to show her the episode of The Sweet Life on Deck where George Takei is a guest star.
Oh my.
Yes, exactly. She's like, this show is horrible. Why are you a 40-year-old man watching this? So I don't know. I watched it, you know, back when I was younger. And that show came out in like 2005, I think. 2000, well, whatever. So whenever it was. 2005, 2007, whatever. So I was still old at that point. Honestly, I told her this morning, I said, you know the reason why I watch a lot of the Disney Channel stuff? Or why I used to? Because currently there are shows that it's mainly because, yeah, I grew up, well, I was a kid, and then I had to move to Kentucky with my dad, and I basically had to grow up really fast. By the age of 15, I was in state's custody, so I was in like group homes and other things like that. And not that I really didn't have time to watch anything, but I didn't have the normal teenage year childhood that everyone else had. So it's like, again, like you just mentioned, you're more about the nostalgia of it all. And I don't care if at age 23 I was watching the 2003 Turtles, because that show rocked, even though it's not a Disney show. But the point is that watched cartoons as a kid, you're going to watch cartoons as an adult, as long as they're good ones.
True.
And not no Cartoon Network originals.
Cartoon Network's not been relevant in years. To be honest, they haven't.
I know everyone loves Steven Universe. I know everyone loved Adventure Time and Regular Show and all that. And I've tried. I haven't tried Steven Universe. I'm not a fan of the animation from what I've seen. I've tried Regular Show and I've tried Adventure Time, and I just don't care. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. I'm not against it. If somebody likes it that's a friend of mine, sure, fine. You like what you want to like. Let me not care about what I want to not care about.
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't honestly. I don't like a lot of the modern animation. I find it really annoying. And I'm not saying that, 90s animation was all that much better. But it's still like predominantly we had more like realistic looking animation compared to the travesties that are out now. And I just can't sit through it. It irritates me. Like I just something about it just drives me nuts. I can't. And I guess that's kind of the point too. I'm a grown man. I don't watch any of that stuff anymore. Like majority of it, and it kind of falls under the my time is past for animation.
Mm-hmm.
So I just watch the old stuff because that's the only thing I can get a kick out of anymore on it. Although I will say I'm really looking forward to season 12 of the program that I'm involved with.
Very cool.
Which will start... we actually start production in mid-September. And I should be doing some voices. I didn't have time to do a proper demo reel. So, lo and behold, I always have one ready. Just of years of things collected. And so I cleaned it up and I put, just for range purposes, some of the stuff, and I sent it over and they're like, you have good range. They're like, we can use this. And I'm like, yes, please do. Because I enjoy voice acting. So I just haven't had a chance to do it lately. And I told DJ, I'm like, hey, if you need a voice. He's like, I haven't forgotten about you, man. I'm like, good. I'm like, good. Because, yeah, I need to get my feet wet again in voiceover. It may not be animation, but... And by the way, did you know that there's a law?
It's something.
Did you know there's a law in certain states that you cannot do an impersonation of an actor, either living or dead?
Oh, jeez. Is that in Colorado now?
No. Nope.
Well, that's good.
Scot-free there. There are certain states that you're not allowed to impersonate a living actor because you can get sued in those states. And then there's and it's mostly for like endorsement things. So like if you're doing a commercial, that's when you're really not allowed to do it. Like I think if you're doing it like an animation like type of thing, I think you're safe. I think it's just if you're trying to sell a product, like, oh, I tried this pair of diapers or blah 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 or something, or took this medicine and it kills somebody, that you can get sued, kind of thing. So yeah, you're not allowed to do that. But if you're doing it for just like animation purposes, it makes it kind of sound like you can do that. In those states. Now, granted, Colorado doesn't have this rule, neither does Michigan. But there are states like Ohio, you're not allowed to do an impersonation of an actor that's died for anywhere from 50 to 100 years, which basically means you can never do it in that state.
Yeah.
Or you have to get permission from their estate. So, yeah, it's a really weird beast that we're kind of in nowadays, like between scripted content, between podcasts, between radio, between music, between voices. It seems like everybody's out to get somebody, and so you have to just play it extra safe
Yep.
So yeah, it's just weird in general. Trying to see if there's anything else.
I think we've covered the gambit. I mean, from computer issues to mass shootings to podcast stuff. I mean, the last thing we could probably bring up is the fact that the president blames video games for the shootings, and that's not.
What's funny is it was the other side of the coin that was doing that several years ago, and before he got in office, the other side of the political spectrum was saying that, and now they've all reversed course because it's just, I don't know, it's weird, and I could be wrong about them reversing course. I think he's siding with them now, but it honestly doesn't. It's like saying rock music causes you to go out and shoot somebody, and it doesn't. Or Weird Al causes you to just go out and say weird things in public, or sing a parody. It's not, you can't blame somebody else or something that has no actual merit. Video games are not alive. They don't force anybody to do anything. Yeah, there are ratings on things, and people don't follow them, and people are, not doing what they should be doing. But there's no, and that's the thing too and that goes with even social media. There's no moral compass left anymore, and that's just people in general. That has nothing to do with what you do or what you watch or what you play. It's just people just have no moral compass.
No, and the thing of it is it's like. It's like that old saying, guns don't kill Autobots, you kill Autobots. Or guns don't kill people, you kill, people kill people. And that's really what it is. And do I think there should be, at least for those who are irresponsible with guns, like not responsible gun owners, if you do own a gun, great. If you don't, whatever. I'm one of those non-gun owners because I'd end up shooting myself in the foot, most likely. I don't know. It's just it's just a loaded bag of garbage, and bringing politics into it really distracts from the actual issue at hand.
Oh yeah, and it happens like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've covered everything that from not necessarily every walk of life, but a lot of stuff this week. And some of the happiest and biggest news, obviously, is Kevin Conroy, live action Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
about time.
That's right.
Because honestly, like I'm good with him taking on the role. If it were the only other person it should be is Keaton. For that old the old Bruce.
The old Bruce, yeah.
But yeah. So how can the people get a hold of you?
You can reach me on Twitter at TFG1Mike.
And they can reach me at SCP-21 or at Altered Geek. They can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so on and so forth. But the most important place they can find it is geekcastradio.com. So, until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.